In this video, we will solve a question on Cournot Nash equilibrium. This question was asked in ISI paper of 2023, that is Indian Statistical Institute paper. The question is, consider a market demand function P is equal to 100 minus Q, where P is the price and Q is the aggregate demand. There are 23 firms, each with cost function as CIQI is equal to QI square upon 2. I belongs from 1, 2, 3 up to 23 because we have 23 firms here. The Cournot Nash equilibrium involves each firm producing, the options are 3 units, 4 units, 5 units, or none of these. Okay, we need to find how much output will each firm produce in Cournot Nash equilibrium. Okay, so what we are being given here, let us see. We are being given the inverse demand function, that is market demand function. P is equal to 100 minus Q. Q is the aggregate demand. Okay, let me write it here, Q. Now this Q is actually equal to Q1 plus Q2 plus so on up to Q23 because we have 23 firms here. Okay, so I can rewrite this P. So P is equal to, in place of Q I have this stuff, so it will become 100 minus Q1 minus Q2 minus so on up to minus Q23. This is our market demand function. Also, we are being given the cost function. Okay, cost function CI QI, that means cost is a function of output produced by each firm, which is equal to QI square upon 2. Okay, let me write it with another. So let's write it here, CIQI. So we have C and we have QI upon 2. Okay, now to find out the Cournot Nash equilibrium, we need to find out the best response function of each firm. We have 23 firms. Okay, let us first find out the reaction function or best response function of firm 1. So by best response function, it is simply by this we mean the optimal quantity produced by firm Q1 given all other firms have also chosen their optimal quantity. So that will be equal to, let me write it here, we can find out the reaction function for firm 1 by profit maximizing condition. We require to find out how many units will firm 1 produce if she wants to maximize profit. Okay, and we know that, and let's write it here. So we need to find out the profit maximizing condition for firm 1. Okay, now profit maximization requires to find out the total revenue for firm 1 first. Okay, so total revenue will be equal to P into Q1, which comes out to be, P is this very function, that is 100 minus Q1 minus Q2 minus up to Q23. Okay, to this we multiply Q1. This is the total revenue of firm 1. And what will be total cost of firm 1? Simply, so total cost is a function, that is QI upon 2. So total cost of firm 1 will be equal to C1 Q1. So in place of I we have 1, which becomes Q1 square divided by 2. Okay, now profit maximization requires, let's first write the profit of firm 1. Profit of firm 1 will be equal to total revenue of firm 1 minus total cost of firm 1. So total revenue of firm 1 is this. So let's multiply here. First 100 into Q1 is 100 Q1, 100 Q1 minus, then we have Q1 square, then minus Q2 square, minus so on up to we have Q1 Q2. Let me rub it here. Okay, so multiplying Q1 with this Q1 square, then we have Q1 Q2, then we will have minus Q1 Q3, minus up to Q1 Q23. This is our total revenue. To this we subtract the total cost, that is Q1 square upon 2, which implies now profit maximization requires that del pi 1 upon del Q1. That means marginal profit of firm 1 should be equal to 0. That means we take the partial derivative of this function and we set it equal to 0 with respect to Q1. Okay, so derivative of Q1 here will be 1, so we are left with 100 minus derivative of Q1 square is twice Q1, then minus derivative of Q1 here again will be 1, so we are left with Q2. Here also derivative of Q1 is 1, we are left with Q3, and this is true for all firms up to Q23, and derivative of Q1 here will be 1, so we are left with 1, so we are left with Q23. Okay, then we have this cost function. Its derivative with respect to Q1 will be so Q square, its derivative is twice Q1, 2 and 2 will get cancelled, we will get minus Q1, and we set it equal to 0. Okay, let us rewrite it first. Okay, let me rewrite it. We have 100 minus, I can write minus, in place of twice Q1 I can write minus Q1 minus Q1. Okay, then we have minus Q2 minus Q3 minus Q4. Okay, I am adding 1 to make it sense here, minus up to minus Q23. Then we have this minus Q1 also. Okay, minus Q1 is equal to 0. Okay, so I can write it in this fashion: 100 minus, okay, if I take minus common, so what will be I left with? Okay, let me write it in this fashion: 100 minus Q1. Okay, then I take a common minus of these very from this. Okay, so I will get Q1 plus Q2 plus Q3 plus Q4. Okay, plus up to Q23 minus Q1, this Q1, okay, is equal to 0. Now since we have 23 firms and each firm have their similar cost function, that means output produced by each firm will be same. Okay, let me repeat it here. Since we have the similar cost function for 23 firms, that means output produced by each firm will be same. That means our Q1 will be equal to Q2, will be equal to Q3, will be equal to Q4, will be equal to, okay, up to Q23. Okay, if I put this in this equation, then what will I get? Let us see. So we have 100 minus Q1 minus, in place of, since you can see we have Q1 up to 23, so for each of these terms, and let me write first, we have Q1 plus, in place of Q2 I can again write Q1. Okay, Q1 plus, in place of Q3 Q1, in place of Q4 Q1, plus up to 23 Q1. Okay, because we have the similar cost functions, I have in place of Q2 Q3 Q4 Q23 I have written Q1. To this we subtract this Q1, should be equal to 0, so it becomes 100 minus Q1. Now how many Q1s are here? Since we have Q1 Q2 up to 23, so here we have 23 Q1. Okay, let me write it here. We have minus, then we have, these are 23 Q1s, 23 Q1s, then we have this minus Q1. minus q1 should be equal to 0, which implies we have 100 minus q1 minus 23 q1 minus q1 is equal to 0. So it is 100 minus, so minus q1 minus 23 q1 minus 20, minus q1, it becomes minus 25 q1 is equal to 0, which implies 25 q1 is equal to 100. Dividing both sides by 25, that means q1 will be equal to 100 upon 25. That means each firm in the Cournot Nash equilibrium should produce 4 units of output. Okay, so the correct option should be fourth option. Okay, I hope I make myself clear in this video. Thank you.